ยอมเสียงโปรแกรมจะเปิดทีอย่างดัก
efisien nggak efisien nah kredit mana please come
ตั้งหลับแน่แล้วก็ทำที่ปิดอย่างไรนะจะก็คุยนะ
สปอร์ตออกไว้ตรงนั้นจุดทำงานต้องสปอร์ต
แน่
งานนี้ก็ได้อยู่หลังแล้วไก่เอาเลยจะยาวจะเป็นภายใต้ครับภายอังกฤษกัน
เอาผ่านกิจเลยผ่านกิจเลย
So, good morning, everyone. Today my presentation is about this book. The title of the book is A History of Modern Burma. The author is Michael W. Chandy. He is the lecturer at the SOAS University, London University. He is teaching the history of Burma at the University at the Department of History. He is also the author of another book like Powerful Learning Buddhist Literature and the Throne in the Burma's last dynasty, 1752 to 1885. This is another book of the same author. And on the back cover, you see an excerpt from the Tan Min Aung, another contemporary Burmese historian. He is the author of the book The River of Lord Footsteps. I have read that one, and now currently I'm reading another book of this book. Is The Making of Modern Burma. And I bought another book of his one. It's the Burma where India meet China, something like that. I'm not sure. There's an excerpt of his review. As you know, this book is about the modern Burma. Is the transcript. When we talk about modern Burma, usually we start from when the King Thibaw exiled. Yeah, that is in 1885. Or 1886, the 1st January of 1886 is the British announced the annexation of Burma and the British Empire. So in this book, in the introduction, the author clearly said that this book is covered about more than 122 years. This book cover. He chose the point from 1886, when the British took over the Upper Burma, until 2008, when the cyclone hit Burma. So from the colonial time to 2008. So he divided into 9 chapters plus introduction and conclusion. The 9th chapter, I can say that the first 3 chapters is during the colonial time, and from the chapter 4 to chapter 7, is from the Burma got independence from the British to 1988 uprising. So from that on to 2008 is not the 2 chapters, the last 2 chapters. So I have read only 2 chapters in this book, about 45 pages, 2 chapters. But what I'm going to present you here a bit of the first chapter is the Burma under colonial rule. Sorry for I don't have much time to write in detail, so I can only write the title of the chapter and the subtitle in the chapter. There are 5 subtitles in the chapter. So the first is the Burma under the colonial rule. This chapter deals with the history of Burma from 1886 to 1937 or something like that, about 30 or 31. First is the rural economic change. Here, when we talk about history of Burma, you have to understand that if you read the book of the Burmese order, you will see the Burmese rebelled the colonialism because of nationalism, and because they are foreigners, they are infidel, and they are white face like a Yenapiu, or they are infidel misapprehented. This is the only reason they give. But if you read this, we have the social and the social structure changing in even the British took over Burma. The first thing is that the headman or the village headman, Yortaji, yes, they have no power anymore because the hierarchy from the king to the village level all is demolished. So no more hierarchy administration level. So there's the problem, and it changed to the how to say the administration has demolished the old style. So the new style introduced the new style like appointed like the public worker, yes, and it caused the social change. And the other thing is rural economic change, because during the Burmese monarchy, the farmer are not the owner of the land, so you have to it all belong to the king. But during the British time, if you work on the farm more than 10 years and you pay the tax, so the land belongs to you, and the land you're growing rice is not for your own family anymore, it's for your business. You export the rice to foreign country, so you more cultivate the rice as a business. So you grow monies from Chitti or Chittia, the Indian person, and you cultivate more and more land. So when the Suez Canal had opened in 1869, I think. So rice export to foreign is increasing. I think the number, I'm not sure, the number more than 600 times increased from the during the Burmese monarchy's time to the British colonies time. So they had changed the village economy and the village attitudes to the colonialism. Yeah. And land alienation, as you know, in 1929, there's a Great Depression. I hope you know that Great Depression. It started from America, and it has an effect all over the world. Great Depression had caused people lost the job and no any money, even food to eat. So what the Great Depression affect in Europe? The German, the Nazi party has won the motive to go into parliament because of the depression. And coming to Thailand, we also have the revolution, changing from the absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy. So in Burma, when people have cultivated rice for export, and they borrow money, more and more money from Chitti, or the Burmese called Chitti, the Chittia, because of no government bank can supply the money for the farmer. So land alienation is because of the farmer have no money to pay back the loan from the Chitti, so the Chitti take all the farmers' land. Actually, the Chitti don't want the land, but because they know nothing else to take, so they take it. They just want to get the interest and the money back. So the cost of what's the effect in this country? Because of Great Depression in America, in Europe, no more rice. They have no means to buy the rice from in this country. So the farmer here have only rice, no money to pay back to the Chitti. So and they have to their land have confiscated by the Chitti, and the effect is the Seasan rebellion. I hope everyone of you know that about Seasan. In this country we call the Tongtu Ledama Tolanye. Actually, he is not a Tongtu Ledama. He is like something like a traditional doctor, medicine, and he is some kind of the cult leader. He set up his new dynasty. He built at his capital, the Buddha city, the Buddha Myeokdo, and he married to 4 wives as a king. He pretend himself as a king to save the Burma from the British infidel, so that he led the villagers to rebel the British. And in 1930, this accident happened in 1930s, and he disguised himself as a monk and run away from Dayawati to northern Shan state. There he also get the people to rebel again, but he was captured, arrested, and hanged in Dayawati the following years. This is what happened. Actually, in my view, I compare the Seasan and Alongpia the same. Alongpia, he get the people and to rebel the monster, but he won and he became a king. But Seasan also pretend himself like a king, Minlong. Yes, you can so Bodhisattva and Minlong, and to revolt against the British, but he lost, so that he become like a liberator. So he tried to build his dynasty, next dynasty, but he lost. So this is in the first paragraph or in the first chapter of this book. We see the cause and effect. What is the cause of rebel? Not just your nationalism or because of the colonialism is infidel or something like that. You have to change the social change in the rural area, and people from the upper Burma migrate to lower Burma because of cultivation land available for everyone to come down here, and you can find your fortune or make build your family here better than upper Burma. So you can see the cause and effect how the social change become and nationalism and become the rebellion against the British. It is not simply because of nationalism alone. So this is what I have read from here. What I read is only the first and last sentence. So others actually based on my own knowledge. So thank you for listening.
Sure. simple conclusion is that it has widened the study and it has brought the social and economic just land ownership, agriculture, right export. Any question?
One question. Do you think it's different from at the present day that the land has, now we see almost the land problem in our times. Do you think the problem is similar like in colonialism?
In colonialism, the British officers did not confiscate the land from farmer, only the money lender, like a cheater, because farmer they want to grow more rice for exporting, to have more income, and they borrow money from cheater. When the Great Depression affect all over the world, they have rice, but they couldn't sell, they cannot export. So the cheater had to take their money, the loan and the interest. So when the farmer don't have the money to pay back, so the farm has to confiscate it by the money lender.
And do you think the a group of cheaters have a connection with the authority?
They're just like businessmen, just come from India, they just come here because there is a gap for them to fill in, because the government don't have like a bank or any organization to loan low interest to the farmer. Agriculture bank to give the farmers loan with low interest. So they saw this gap, and they fill in. And they have no any connection with the municipal and the authority. But in the locality they might have, because they're doing like an illegal business as well.
May I ask one question?
Yeah, please.
As you mentioned, during the colonial period, some kind of land grabbing and money lender, this kind of thing just happened in Burma proper, in the plainland, or it also happened to hill area like Shan State or other state?
I think you have to go back after the second Anglo-Burmese Second War, when the British had taken all the lower Burma. So the modern law is, if you cultivate your land more than 10 years, the land is belong to you. So, and in the Upper Burma, under the Burmese monarch, and Min accident. So the two sons of Min Dong trying to get rid of his father, dethrone his father, and more involved. Even the monks have to run away from who involved in this incident. So most of Burmese in Upper Burma had to migrate down to Lower Burma under the British. And here, the new law is introduced. If you cultivate your land and you work, you pay the tax for 10 years. The land belongs to you. And the alienation of the land is not by the authority, by the money lender. There's one thing. So that is different from now. But in Shan State, it's not direct law by the British. It's indirect law, because the British just look over the Jaffa, oversight the Jaffa, and Jaffa rule to his So the Jaffa's duty is to collect tax and give some to British. And for day-to-day work, they don't interfere any day-to-day rule in Shan State. Is that clear?
I'd like to give one comment. I'd like to give one comment to the Quizzi's question. I think your answer is clear already. nowadays the problem is one thing is because the state sector, maybe the government, maybe the some government sector, they seize the land, they grab the land. This is one problem. Another problem is that the land ownership, the right to land, the awareness of the farmers, there's a big gap in that. People don't actually know that they own the land. People don't have this awareness. Because until recently, the people migrate very easily. If they find life hard in certain place, they just move to another place. There's plenty to go now. I think there's a thing. And another thing, you mentioned that the people migrated from Upper Burma to Lower Burma. One of the reasons is that after Burma lost the Lower Burma and then the Middle Burma to the British, they didn't have access to seaport. So there was no income from that, number one. Number two, now the area the king can collect tax was getting smaller, so they couldn't get a lot of tax. Now the king had to increase the tax many times. When the king increased the tax many times, the people, they couldn't pay the tax, so they just left for Lower Burma. And Tanimu in his Make a Modern Burma also mentioned this. I also read this in the Royal Gazette of Burma. Sri Jinsaro had to intervene because many people fled Upper Burma, and the king was having smaller population. So the king had to has to request help from the Sangha. And when the monks studied the situation, why people left, number one was the high tax. So, Sri Jinsaro, he wrote to the king that you can only collect tax 10% from the people. That's from the Vinaya Atakata he quoted. He quoted 10%. I saw that letter. And in order to persuade people to come back to Upper Burma, Sri Jinsaro and Durmasaro, they got the king to agree that when the people came back, there must be no punishment. And the tax will be only this much. This history is called in the Burmese history is called So if you study modern Burmese history, you will see this incident, the taxation problem, because the king put up a lot of tax, but he had to fund his war against the British. Not just King Minto, but his brother and his father, like that. So you can see the complex situation in this. Any more questions? Comment? Okay, thank you once
I
again.
just want to add one thing here. As myself interested in history, if we study history, we have to look beyond, under the line, beyond the nationalism rhetoric. They say in Burmese history, just because of their infidel, misactivity, or government abuse, anything like that, you don't see the very cause analysis. If you compare when the Upper Burma state independence under the Burmese king, and the Burmese monarch, and the Lower Burma under the British, people choose to live under the British.
They prefer.
Yeah, prefer to live under the British as under colonialism, not under independent Burma. Why? Because life here is better, more opportunity, and more fair in law before the court, before the law. So under the Burma independent, you have the ministry is like a medieval one. So it's up to the king's will. You can kill, you can confiscate any land, you can take any of your property. So if you look into the records, people prefer to live under the British at that time. And even like the monks from Upper Burma or Lower Burma come down to Lower Burma to persuade farmers to go back and to Upper Burma with the tax exemption for 5 years or 10 years, something like that. Very few people go back. So the population in Lower Burma is more populous than Upper Burma because under the British rule, even the colonialism, but the justice are more, I think, is reasonable and better situation than Upper Burma. So we have to understand it's not just because of the military, the Burmese government just fight the colonialism. That without them, this country is no more something like this, like rhetoric. When you have both independent and under colonialism, more people prefer to live under the colonialism. Yeah, that's what I want to add here.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Professor Sakulu and everyone in the class. So I'm going to present this book named Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Actually, I presented 52nd birthday of Sakulu. That I present overview and seven Aparihariya Dhamma. These are the time I will present this book. We have this book has four parts. Of this book, but I will present part 2. It is called This Story. I will focus this book in first because this is more important in our planning. So we write the 7 habit theory. In Sen, I have wrote a poem so you can understand the overview of 7 habit theory.
Why not in English?
Yeah, see poem. Yeah.
I think to save time, you just explain us
Okay.
what you
Okay.
it save time, I think.
Okay, this poem is very short. complete our job effectively, we have to follow ร่วมเรื่องการมาวนการไปมันอันไหนเรื่องก่อนเพื่อสร้างความสำคัญการเข้าร่วมพักแล้วก็การไปต่อไปก็ไม่ลงไว้กันอย่าง of this day 7 just going 1, 2, 3 1 3 so let me read and later I will explain what is no clear one effective management effective management is to put first things first. When leader decide what, when a leader decide what first thing to be done are, this is effective management. That's to put first thing first, with including core keywords. That's urgent thing, important thing, processes of time management independent way. To follow this, including in order to create good plan in future, one should ask, one say the following question: what one thing could you do? Something that you know. You aren't doing now. That if you did it in the regular basis in the past, would make a wonderful constructive difference in your life. As we did not do in the past in childhood. If we did that one, you will get some very advanced benefits. And another thing,
I don't get it. What do you mean?
This suppose we did in our childhood and something good education, something good association with people, we would get something good result, but we did not did it. What we have to ask ourselves. If I study hard in childhood, now I can finish my daughter before 30 years old, something like that. That's the missing pattern. And another one, with this
tendency or something.
Another one, we this. The similar we did. We did the similar. Another one is right. One thing you did in your business or your professional life would bring similar result. Would bring similar results. It may we did something that's not change. It bring the same result. That's the habit tree is personal truth, practical fulfillment of habit. 1 and habit 2. Habit 1 is proactive and habit 2 is beginning with the end in our mind. It is the creation. And proactive means if we follow the post step of Virya, we do not repeat the same program. We will not do wrong program in future. something like that. The whole type of virya, you have to cultivate virya. That means proactive. The Poma habits, the proactive say, you are creator and you are designer of your life. You in charge your life. You have to responsibility for your life. It's reliable, single human endowment is full ability. Endowment is like genius. You have this ability, endowment, this ability from your own imagination, consent, and independent way, particularly self-awareness. Immigration is clear. Consent means knowledge on morality, what is right, what is wrong, you have to know by yourself. Independent way, that is, you act rather than to be acted upon. Self-awareness also easy, you have to know, you have to mindful your activity. They are in power to say the two habits say that unwholesome program I have been set given from my childhood, from my social mirror. I don't like this style, this character, this practicum. I can change it. If you have imagination, conscious, independent way, particularly self-awareness, you can change your present situation to improve your life. The second habit, it means the creation. You have to understand what is your goal, what way you are going to do, what is your objective. Before you do something, you should have roadmap. Imagination is ability to envision, to see potential, to create with our mind what we cannot see with our eye in present. Another one is concept ability to relate and business and personal, moral, ethical, which we can most happily to be it. The deep contrast with our basic paradise, value in basing what we can become. Okay, and performer will explain why clearly this one. The habit, then the habit 3 is the second practice, the creation, the fulfillment, the actualization, the result of habit 1 and habit 2. It is in exercise of dependent way to what becoming principle center. It in day in day out, moment by moment, if we do it, living with the habit 3, it a practical effective self-management. In the term of computer metaphor, habit 1 like computer grammar, habit 2 like write down your program, habit 3 like learning the program. This independent principle are called participatory. If you do this, you will succeed in your practice. Go to another one, this full keyword. independent way is ability to act rather than to be actable. If you are an effective management, you will say you are disciplined, come from within. There is a function of you are independent when the successful person have a habit of doing the thing other people don't want to do. If me successful person see the plan, the empathy of successful, the other people don't want to do. We have marketing idea. He did not overlook opportunity, something like that. This is the way of another one is the whole generation time management, the process of time management have both the money demanded on time energy, and second one is secure activity in future. Third one is daily planning, plan A, plan B, something like that. Another one, the last one is preserving, enhancing relationship based on trust. That is the higher form of human motivation, bring up the very best in people. Each generation view on the people one is the part one me people use their time based on time and energy. They use a lot of time and energy. Second one me they have plan, they have schedule event and activity in future. They have some plan but no detail. And third one is he plan in detail, plan A, plan B, something like that. Another one is no based on plan, is based on good relationship among team, among organization. Another one is urgent and important. Urgent may require immediate action. Urgent are present, easy, fun to do, like Facebook, movie, entertainment. But so often they are not important. In other hand,
Just me, I think your time is up. You can summarize your presentation.
You should understand what is urgent, what is not important. Urgent thing is maybe lead to accessible problem, but we should do an important one. This is in detail. I can send you an email if you would like to read more. This is also important. If we do not understand what is urgent thing, what is important thing, we cannot succeed. We have turn around samsara in our work. But we have to focus what is important. Okay, I come to conclusion. As you work to develop full acquaintance, I know explain the full acquaintance. Let me explain the plenty important but not urgent one, that it includes product capacity, ability, relationship building, recognizing new opportunity, planning, result, vision, balance, discipline, control, new crisis. If you understand what is important, so you go to focus is, if you focus on urgent one, but they know important is not good. So, as you work to develop current P, you will increase your ability of organize and carry out every week of your life around your deepest priority. You will not be dependent on other person or anything, and for effective management your life. Interestingly, every one of 7 habits is in current B, according to survey of citizens of the habit 3 is the most ignorant one in 7 habits. Ignore one in the 7 habits, but effective management is put first thing first. Okay. Thank you.
Any question?
Any question?
One short question is when habit, good habits, but down, I think there are 9 of them. It's not consistent.
You can group 1, 2, 3.
Okay. This one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 one is you renew the comma 1, what you are necklace. You have to review by yourself. And this one, is bring that principle to call.
Thank you.
I have one question. Yeah. You say the 7 habits of what is it? 7
Effective people.
Effective.
Effective people.
And also,
Effective people.
yeah. Before the introduction, you also say just like a Aprihaniya Dhamma in the Tripitaka.
No, I said that I present my presentation the birthday of Saku Kremani. I present this 7 habits and 7 Aprihaniya Dhamma. Now I present.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
This is different one, right?
different one.
Okay.
Yes, overview of Aprihaniya Dhamma and this 7 habits.
Okay.
You mentioned 4, quadrant 4. Can you name them here? 4. That's the 4 habits. Yeah, you can say.
This one is explained it clearly here.
What's the first one? What's the first one?
Say important and urgent one.
Okay.
Important and urgent one. No one is no important but urgent.
Urgent, but more important. Okay.
Actually, that is third one. The second one is important but no urgent. No urgent. Something.
Okay.
The fourth one is no important, no urgent.
Third one.
The third one is urgent, no important. No important, urgent.
No important, no urgent.
The third one is no important but urgent. The fourth one
No important but urgent is no important but urgent.
no important. That's it. The third one is no important, urgent. The important and urgent one is like crisis, present program, dealing rapid projects. This way is how you subtract, burn off, crisis management, always.
I think that's okay. Look at this.
Urgent, important, not urgent.
To the four means in Latin is quite. So quadrant, that's in Latin term four. In Pali, Jatuka. So Jatuka is this one. You play around the notion of important, being important and being urgent. But they are not the same. This one is something which is urgent but not important. This one, something that is important but not urgent.
Yes.
This one, not important.
But urgent.
Urgent.
Yeah. The whole one.
Number 3 and number 1, what's the difference?
No, actually, number 1 is urgent, important.
Urgent.
Important.
Important. Okay.
Urgent and important.
Yeah.
Number 3 is urgent, not important.
Urgent, not important.
Number 3.
Number 3. Urgent, not important. Number 2.
Number 2 is important, no urgent. Okay. This is amounted for number 2 is the best. If you adopt this whole, you complete or 700 according to this book. Urgent one is like entertainment, Facebook, something like that. No, we really want to do, interested.
Still have one special question. How do you apply this method in your learning?
In my thesis,
Yeah, in your decision, in your summary, how you apply this technique?
in my life, daily life.
Yeah.
So I have to do this. Number 1 have to have virya. Number 2 have good planning. Number 3, what important one and what is number 1, I will do this first, and what is plan B, I will do it this second, like that. This is important in our life.
I mean, in your real life,
Yeah.
have you applied this technique?
Okay, sometimes I did it, but sometimes I overlook and but I have no mindfulness all the time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
Thank you so much for your attention.
So could you please let it do it?
Okay, are you ready?
If I'm not ready,
First of all, I would like to thank our professor for giving us opportunity for to do this presentation today. And good morning, my all dear classmates. My presentation is on the chapter 7 of this book, Buddhism as Philosophy, an Introduction, written by Mark Siderick from Illinois State University of USA. This book especially talk about Buddhist philosophy, but I choose to present here on this chapter 7, which is on the rise of Mahayana. This is an interesting one. In this chapter, it's going to look at the rise of Mahayana from especially from philosophical point of view. Firstly, the author admits that the exact date of the emergence of Mahayana is unknown, so we cannot say exactly which date or which century exactly that Mahayana arose. The idea of Mahayana arose. In comparing with some modern historian, like that day Dr. David said, Protestant Reformation arose in the 16th century, but Mahayana we cannot put the date exactly. But by looking at the context and forms, the Mahayana is quite different from the other Buddhist institutions. Firstly, we have to look at the text or the sutra, which are different from the early Buddhist teaching. In the early Buddhist teaching, according to the author, the Buddha teaching have been collected and recited soon after the parinibbana of the Buddha. In the early time, there is no hints of the Mahayana Sutra exists in the 5th or 4th century BC. And according to the author, we come to realize some sutra which are not in line with the earlier sutra, like Mahayana Sutra, like teaching of emptiness and the idea of bodhisattva, and such kind of sutra appear around the 1st century BC. Around the 1st century BC. So there are 400 century gap to the earlier Buddhist sutra. So the author said this might be new creation of sutra by some Mahayana monk. But we cannot put the date exactly whether they start the Mahayana school at that time or not, because the Mahayana monks themselves, at the early period, they don't consider themselves as a separate school. They don't have that intention as well. And the emergence of Mahayana, the other idea could be developed from the Bodhisattva idea. Bodhisattva also mentioned in some Buddhist texts, but not in broad sense, just a word. And some people or some monks might develop from that. And according to the Buddha teaching, we know that the Buddha used different methods to teach the Dhamma. And sometimes in Bali we call Upaya. And sometimes the Buddha to switch the person who would like to work for the enlightenment. Mostly during the Buddha time, the Buddha, most of the monks are encouraged to work for to attain Nibbana through Arahatship, to become an Arahant. But for few people, for a selected few, according to the author, a few people can also try to be bodhisattvas, just for a few people. But this kind of a few people later become popular, developed as a bodhisattva idea, and later on this idea become more popular, and the emergence of Mahayana and development of the Mahayana, the bodhisattva idea also another reason could be due to the influence of lay people, because lay people they cannot become monks or nuns, they cannot renounce the worldly life, so they they also want to attain Nibbana. So they see that Bodhisattva practice, according to the Mahayana, have to practice 6 parami, perfections. So this way might be easier for them just to perform dana and sila, and they can become a Bodhisattva and enlightened being. So due to the influence of lay followers also, the Mahayana idea start arising. That is one reason of the scholar views. And the other reason is that due to the competition, monastic competition, as the community of Sangha grow and they need more support from lay people, so to get more follower, supporter of material things, so they need to attract people to support them. So they give the idea to lay people to do more meritorious, to worship a stupa, to worship the Buddha image, and to give the donation, and then they can become Bodhisattva. Something that idea will put to lay people, and that's why the Bodhisattva idea also become more developed. But the former one, that due to the influence of lay people, that idea now they no longer accepted. And now we come to differentiate between the idea of Bodhisattva and Arahat. And in Theravada or in existing Buddhist school, consider Arahat the cessation of suffering by working to become an Arahant. We can end our suffering and then attain Nibbana without remainders. But according to Mahayana, they see that the path of Arahant is selfish, because they only work for themselves, for their attainment of Nibbana. According to the Mahayana, they said Bodhisattva idea is selfless, because they just don't work for themselves, for their attainment of Nibbana. They also help other beings, other people, to free from suffering. So that's the main differences of the idea of Bodhisattva. And now we come to the Abhidhamma concept. The definition on the Abhidhamma. According to early Buddhism, we see that we understand that all beings are lack of essence. All beings are empty of essence. But according to Mahayana school, they define that not just beings, but everything is empty of self. So that is the main difference. So if everything is empty of self, there is a question: what are the ultimate reality? What are the ultimate truth? And how things are constructed? That is metaphysical nihilism, which most of us don't agree with. The metaphysical nihilism in Buddhism. That's why the Mahayana lead to the separation of other schools like Madhyamaka and Yogasara. Madhyamaka view that emptiness at face value, and why Yogasara hold on philosophy of subject-object dichotomy on reality and ultimate things that unique in nature. So these are the difference of Mahayana idea and other Buddhist institutions. So this is the summary of the chapters 7 I present here. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for your presentation. I've learned a lot from your presentation, but I wonder, you talk about the emergence of the rise of Mahayana.
Yes.
You didn't mention the name of Nagarjuna, Arya Deva, or Vasubantu. These are the giant names in Mahayana.
Yes, as the author of this book on the chapter 7, he also doesn't mention about those Mahayana scholars. Maybe he is not going that far. He just look at the background of the Mahayana and some differences, distinction, philosophy. Only he just focus on the philosophical aspect.
One question. When you mention Mahayana and Nagasuna and Vasubantu are not the same idea. So I'm not really.
I didn't mention that. I didn't mention about Nagasuna or Vasubantu.
I say Nagasuna means the founder of Madhyamika.
According to the author, he doesn't mention that Vasubantu or Nagasuna are the founder. He just mentioned about how the Mahayana idea emerged, how their text is different. Doesn't mention about the founder because he also doesn't mention about the date exactly. He just say some idea that made Mahayana appear.
So I understand the mention and Mahayana is another one, and York Madhyamika and York Kasana is another one.
Yeah, and the Madhyamaka and Yogacara developed from those Mahayana ideas. So Mahayana may have sub-different, how to say, sub-school, maybe sub-school of Mahayana. Yes, any more questions?